All right, it's the Jeff Dubay Show on Tuesday as we inch towards Christmas. Of course, you might be listening to this after Christmas.
Or on Christmas.
Or if you are, or maybe if you're Jewish. To all my Jewish friends.
Or on the way to Grandma's house. I mean, come on.
Well, I suppose. It's sometimes I forget. Not everybody celebrates Christmas. I teach to each his own. It's the beauty of America. It's a melting pot, is what it is, Jason McGovern. But anyway, it's December 23rd where I am. At what point in time you happen to be. This is just an abstract concept that I still can't wrap my mind around. Listen to me whenever the hell you want to. But it is a Tuesday. We're at Devil's Advocate. Jason McGovern, Jeff Dubay. And my guest today is an old friend of mine. It's a unique relationship.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique.
His name is Lance Horton, and Lance is I just call him Horton. I don't know if I've ever called you Lance.
No, you just call me Horton.
That'd have been fucked up if I called you
Yeah,
Lance.
if you called me Lance
in the workhouse.
People would have got a hold of that, and I would have never heard the end of it. Lance, like from NSYNC? I get that one all the time.
But I mean, people know. I would assume, unless you've been living under a rock, if you listen to the show, you know that I did a couple of stretches at the Ramsey County Workhouse. As a matter of fact, I did 3. I did 90, 90, 60. Although I got out early for STS on one of them, but nonetheless, 8 months I did in 3 separate stints. And Horton is a CO, and I didn't know what a CO was when I went there, but that's a corrections officer.
Right.
A corrections officer, and he was always one of the cooler ones. I mean, you knew who I was, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I
remember the first day I saw you. I thought. I don't know what to think. I thought you was gonna try to hop the fence and get out. You know? He was walking around the yard with his head down. They was like, "Hey, that's that guy." I was like, "What guy?" He's like, "Oh, that's the Dubay guy from the radio." I was like, "Oh Lord, we got to keep our eye on him."
I was,
you know.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the story of what got me there, and I mean, I was fucked up. I I was in such a severe depression. I was in shock. I mean, I was in shock, and I'll always be grateful to Plumley. Remember, is Plumley still there?
Plumley is still there.
Well, tell him I said hi, and I'll never forget what I mean. I'm going in for my sentencing. Let's start at the beginning. And I'm going to people misunderstand and they hear what they want a lot. So I'm going to read this disclaimer numerous times. I was a drug addict and I fucked up and I put myself in bad positions. All right. I mean, I put myself at the mercy of others. Having said that, Judge Smith of Ramsey County can kiss my motherfucking ass. She is a bad judge. She's a bad person. She is a hypocrite. She judges with bias.
Right.
I mean, I started out in drug court. I was in the Ramsey County drug court program.
Okay.
And the reason I bolted out of that was that you sit in a court of law in front of a judge and there's no due process. If it's a room of counselors on a Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, they get together and figure out who they're going to lock up for the weekend. You show up for drug court with all the other idiots
Right.
on a Thursday, and you stand in front of the judge and she lets you know if they're locking you up or not.
Right.
For 4 days. 4 days. That's a Thursday. They lock you up until Monday, and you don't get to see a judge. You don't get to post bail. You don't get a chance. There's nothing. We're locking you for 4 days. And you don't get to appear in court. You don't get. There's no due process. That's my point. That's against the Constitution of the United States of America to lock somebody up 4 days. I mean, you get 3 days. You get 72 hours before you have to be before a judge.
Right.
But not in drug court. I didn't. When you sign up to be part of that program, I didn't read the fine print that you are no longer an American citizen. So I bailed out of that. So here's what got me. Here's what got me to the workhouse and why I was fucked in the head when I got there. I go to my sentencing. And my charge was a 5th degree possession. I had a half a gram of crack cocaine. That's a 5th degree possession on an otherwise clean criminal record. I've never been. I'm not a career criminal. I mean, that was a clean record, 5th degree possession. So my attorney Mark Kelly and I, we get there. We talk to the DA. No, I'm just trying to come up with DA. I wasn't waving at anybody else. So we talk. How it is. You meet with our DA out in the hallway before the judge comes in, and he says, "Hey, look. Jeff's got a 5th degree with no priors. Standard is 30, do 20. 30 serve 20, and Jeff's got 18 served. We're not going to ask for 2 days. I'm saying time served. We'll let Jeff go. So we stand up, and our turn comes, and the DA presents a little. Yeah, Jeff. Just in your honor, Jeff's 5th degree, no priors. He's 30 to 20. He's given 18. I'm not going to ask for the 2 days. We're going to release Jeff. So right. I mean, I'm ready to go home.
Absolutely.
And she knows who I am.
Mm-hmm.
She knows I left her program, and she knows I'm sour. As she bangs her gavel or whatever, and she gets all preachy and says, Jeff, you have to know that just because of what you do for a living, that you're not going to be treated any different than a teacher, a garbage man, a dentist, or a grocery bagger. And she bangs her gavel and gives me 6 months, or whatever, 180 days. And they. My attorney was just shocked. Mark Kelly, my great attorney, been doing it for 25, 30 years. He said he never seen it. He said he never seen a DA say, look, we're letting you walk, and then a judge say, no, we're giving you 6 months. Right. And so anyway, he's in shock. He stands up and says, well, Your Honor, could I at least ask that Jeff get a couple weeks to get his matters in order and turn himself in, remand himself, whatever. She banged the gavel and said, no, take him right now. They grabbed me and dragged me off. So I honestly don't even know what's happening. I'm so fucking confused because this guy just said I'm going home,
right?
And now I'm in the back, shackled, and they take me off to the closest thing to prison I'm ever going to be.
And the guy that's supposed to want to lock you up said you're going home.
Right.
Like he's the one that's supposed to be the aggressor in the situation.
And now here's where Judge Smith did what she did. To grandstand. She did what she did because this story was going to be in the paper. She did what she did because she's the drug court, hang 'em high, and I'm not letting somebody make my drug court look bad and walk off. And when she sits there and says, you're not going to be treated any differently than this guy, or that guy, and then sentences me differently than this guy, she says you're not going to be treated any differently than a garbage man, a doctor, or a teacher. Well, if I was a garbage man, a doctor, or a teacher, I would have gone home that day.
Right.
So fuck you, Judge Smith. You are a lying, biased sack of shit bitch, and I fucking hate you. But okay,
how do you really feel?
I wanted to say that for years.
I
wanted to say, but I will say this: I was a drug addict, and I fucked up over and over and over, and there should be consequences. But my consequences shouldn't be any worse than anybody else's. And she didn't see it.
She made an example out of you.
Yeah,
right.
she.
You know what's bad about the whole
hang 'em high.
thing is.
So anyway, I was stunned. I got there in a daze. I'm sitting there in my fucking blue jumpsuit. I've been processed, and I'm sitting in the hallway, and I am scared off my ass. I don't know where I am or why I got to be here, and Plumlee kind of befriended me.
Right.
So anyway.
So that kind of explains why he was trying to get out too, or
Well,
why
we're
you
not
would be
trying to
but
get
not
out.
actually trying to get out, but you look like he would want to be out.
Looked like he was plotting to
who
get out.
wouldn't?
I was stunned.
Like he was plotting.
I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to get a phone call here. This is a mistake.
Right.
I'm not going to. I was in shock.
I mean, he
You
was
must thought you were in
alone.
the Twilight Zone.
He was alone on the rec yard, just walking in circles.
I was
just
fucked up.
just had to watch him because he just kept his eyes looking at the ground.
Oh yeah, I couldn't.
So we just had to keep our eye on him. Like, hey, this dude. We just might have to watch out. We might have to have an open sale for this dude later. You know what I mean? And put him on suicide watch or something.
I mean,
like
I
that.
was down. I was as depressed as it gets. I was in complete and total shock.
Once you got him talking, and then you find a mutual respect, mutual love for like a sport or a game or something, and it took off after that. You know.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy.
Well, and you know what? I found a number of things to. I mean, I eventually acclimated.
Right.
But Tim Simo saved my ass. I mean, he put me on the floor crew. I mean, I'm assuming he had heard my name or something and knew I was a low risk, whatever. I don't know how you guys classify people.
He was a level 1, so there was no threat or nothing like that. There was no high level risk. So it's like, you might as well make him work or let him work. You know what I mean? To get his time.
What makes someone a level 2? What would be the step up?
Level 2 is somebody that has a prior conviction, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. There might be a fight. Somebody could get a fight or cause trouble.
Right, or not a violent past, but they do have a past, a criminal past. Level 1s are people low level
basically
crimes,
their first time in.
DWI, first possession. Level 3s, people I work with now, there are people that have crimes against other people that have victims. So it could be.
Those ones in custody, in the custody section.
That's where
custody,
I work now.
Basically, custody looks like prison. All right. I mean, the workhouse, it looks like barracks. It's these dorms. They call them dorms, but just these metal bunks, like 20 guys in a room, whatever. It looks like a barracks. It looks like a military barrack. It's not a cell.
Right.
It's a big room you can move around. But custody. Those guys. I mean, I remember there was a guy in custody that freaked the hell out of me. I hated going in there and cleaning.
Right.
I mean, he was the guy with the long hair. I don't know if he's a chomo or what, but I mean, he's roaming around. He scared the hell out of me. But it looks like prison. I mean, like all these shows you see, these prison shows. I mean, it's a prison. It's like a prison unit.
You're right. It's 3 pods. That's where I work now. So we have level 3s. There's like 40 of them, and they're just people that got crimes against other people. They have a victim. So
are they in individual cells then?
Yes,
or are
they are individual
Like they've interfered with 911 calls.
Yeah,
they have domestics.
Domestics, assaults, attempted murder, but they don't call those attempted murder no more. They call them first-degree assaults.
There were attempted murders, and then I'm cleaning their shit up.
Well, you know, if you shoot anybody above the waist, it's attempted murder. Below the waist, I think it's just assault.
Oh, thank God, I got bad aim.
Wow.
No, I'm just
something like that.
Yeah, that's
weird twist
That
of
is
the
a
law.
really weird.
The law is weird. And
I'd
it's
rather get shot in the arm than
handguns
the.
are really inaccurate. So
Right.
if I'm really inaccurate, hey, I'm good.
I'd rather get shot in the arm than the dick.
But it's funny what happened to him though. Is he said he got 6 months. He got more time than most sex offenders get.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah. I mean,
sex
Christ.
offenders usually
Yeah.
get less time.
Yeah.
What he got, DWI, and I believe
like multiple DWIs.
right, and domestics are the big thing.
I mean, nobody.
Anything other than that, sex offenders, all that stuff, they really don't waste their time. Why, I don't know, but that's just the state
I mean,
of
nobody.
Minnesota.
I mean, and again, I don't want to play the woe is me card, but nobody goes to jail for 8 months for a 5th degree with no priors.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
I mean, but again, I mean, I'm not denying the fact that I was fucked up. I was doing the wrong thing, and I did the wrong thing over and over and over again. But that's a bad judge. That's a judge that cannot rule without bias. That's a judge that's a disgrace to the bench on which she sits. I'm sorry. And I would say that if it was somebody else that she did that to as well.
I'm pretty sure from your tone that this isn't the case, but is there any
There goes my
way...
expungement, by the way. Fuck her.
Is there any silver lining there? Is there anything that you maybe learned because you were in there longer than you would have been?
No,
Is there
well,
zero silver lining?
No, none at all. I'll tell you, here's
She
another.
is a
Wait,
bitch.
here's another misnomer out there. When people are struggling with addiction, and people around them think, boy, maybe if he would just get arrested, it would be good for him. They take him away, maybe get him some help. With all due respect, incarceration is not. It is not a means to recovery from drugs and alcohol.
Right.
I mean, if you want to get sober, you're better off not being in the system.
Right.
Yeah, you really are.
Is that because of all the connections you'll make? I mean, you put
It
me in a
is
room
crime-
with a
it
bunch
is
of drug dealers and I do drugs.
Crime school.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I made some good connections. And when you get out, you're raring to go.
Right.
And then also, I mean, I don't know how it is for everybody, but I mean, my part of what was my problem was like a life that was falling apart, and not dealing with it properly and making bad decisions off of it. Going to jail is just more of your life falling apart. It's just more reason to get fucked. It's not a reason. I mean, it's like.
It's not a deterrent. It's always encouragement.
Somebody's fighting addiction is. I mean, they're fighting a pretty serious battle, and it's not a battle against anybody or anybody in particular. It's just a fight that takes a lot of your energy, and then you go somewhere else, or you got something else that you got to deal with. It's like you're getting attacked from other sides.
Sure.
You just can't. It's just a little being an addict is a little overwhelming. Let me put it that way. Like when people ask me for what kind of advice would I give to addicts, my advice is to the people around them, and that's don't fucking pile on because it's bad enough.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not saying roll out a red carpet for them. I'm not saying kiss their ass, but I can't tell you the feeling when your life is falling apart and you are at the mercy of a drug that is fucking ending your life, and you got to surround and have people tell you how hard it is on them. That's when you just want to say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Give me my phone number. I'm calling my guy. I mean, you really cannot pile. If you want to kill an addict, pile on him. Go ahead.
So you're saying that interventions are the worst thing?
You know what? No, because the end result is positive. But I'm just saying in general. I mean, people love to tell you what you're doing to their life, and it's
Right.
It's like what. I'm not saying that I didn't hurt. I'm sure people cared about me, and it was hard on them. But I can't be responsible for your happiness. I got to save my life.
Well, and isn't depression in a way, and don't take this the wrong way, but isn't it kind of selfish? I mean, when you get to a certain point where you hate yourself so much and you're so upset with the circumstances around you, you can't really put yourself in anybody else's shoes at that point. Like, you are so fucking low and so far into a hole that you, what the fuck do you care if you're also ruining someone else's life? You're fucking ruining your own. Like, why would you care about theirs? That is I had never really thought of it that way, but yeah, that part of the intervention is pretty stupid. Actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can
probably depends on the person too. Depends on the individual, but.
Well, I mean, I remember a day of treatment, dude. I mean, that was one of my least favorite days ever. They bring your family in, they've all written letters, and it's like an intervention. But what's the fucking point? You're already in treatment. I mean, so you're bringing all these people in to just fucking rail on you? I mean, if in an intervention, I can understand it. Because it's a means to an end. They're trying to get you treatment. I'm in treatment. Leave me the fuck alone. So, I mean,
you're just trying to depress me further?
But anyway, we got to get back on point here. I want to talk some football with Horton at some point. But anyway, back to the workhouse. The weirdest thing yesterday, the guest, Brian Gutchie,
Mm-hmm.
just a guy I met on Twitter who wanted to come in and do a show. I bring him in, and I don't know why I brought up the fact that I'm having you on the show today.
Right.
He was in the Ramsey County Workhouse when I was. I never even met this guy.
The name sounds familiar. It sounds very familiar. I just can't place his face.
Well, how about this for a small world? My co-host on Wild Wednesdays is Tony Dean.
Tony Dean, my ex-coworker. Shout out to Tony Dean, man, keeping the streets safe in St. Paul.
Yeah, he just graduated from the academy.
Yes, he did.
I hope you gave him a shout out.
I just gave him a shout out.
Yeah, he wanted to be here today, but he's got stuff going on.
I hope that, he's been chomping at the bit to get out of there, man, and this is a long life dream. I'm all about dreams, supporting people's dreams, man, and he did it, and I'm proud of him.
He's a good guy.
More ways than one. I'm going to miss talking shit with him, talking football with him at the halls of the jail, but
he's one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
He got a task out there. He's joining a police force in a time where law enforcement ain't exactly.
Yeah.
Ain't exactly.
Who the hell joins the law enforcement
You know what
right
I
now?
love? Here's what I love about Tony. The man was a Marine,
right?
And now he's a police officer. Now he's a CO in the workhouse. Now he's a police officer, and he's scared to death of his wife.
Yeah, he cries in his basement.
Hey, she's a beast though, man. She's a beast. I've met her once. She's a beast. She's a cool chick. She's a beast.
I'm sure she is, but he's always making
Women
jokes.
love to be called that.
Oh,
I'm saying she's a beast. She'll have you, yes ma'am, in no time.
Yeah,
She's good.
he's always talking about he has to go down to the basement and cry from time to time.
I've only met her once, but she had me spooked.
He's a Marine and a police officer, and he cries in the basement.
Cowering.
He's afraid of his wife.
All right, that's how it should be.
Oh,
Puts things in perspective for you, doesn't
that's
it?
hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's just too funny. Now, not to go too inside of the Ramsey County Workhouse, but like we were just talking about, there's the level 1s, 2s, and 3s. Like level 1s, they get the jobs. And then before people, the first thing people think, it was kind of my first reaction too, was why the hell do I want to work? But I swear to God, time goes. I was on the floor crew, which means I was one of the janitors. The place is pretty self-sufficient. The staff consists of COs, and that's it.
Right.
The inmates do the cooking, the cleaning, and they maintain the place.
Right.
And one of the first and most lasting impressions I ever had of that place, I walked in and I'm like, these are the fucking shiniest floors I've ever seen. What are they doing? But it's because they got people locked up, with nothing to do, so they buff the hell out of it every fucking day. But you can eat off this shit. But I'll tell you right now, like going around, doing the cleaning and going into different dorms and getting shit done, and just seeing people just sit there watching Ricky Lake all day. It got to the point where I'm like, how could boy, if I wasn't working, I'd go insane.
Yeah.
People fighting over the remote.
How many hours a day are you working?
Just like during the morning and afternoon.
So
And
what,
then
4
maybe-
hours maybe, or?
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
Yeah,
maybe 8 or
but
9.
really? Maybe like a
Depending-
full
but
actual day?
Sometimes they have special projects for them to do.
Well, every night you have to go
Floors,
downstairs and
stuff like that.
clean the nurse's station or
Right,
whatever.
stuff like that. They got different projects for them to
But
do.
it kept you busy. Was what it did. And
I don't know about the first time he was there, but the second time he was there, I had him and he was upstairs in 800.
yeah.
And they were just, I think it was like 8 or 9 guys in there, so all they did was watch TV all day.
That's
and
the
work.
worst. It's the worst.
Well, they worked and then they watched TV all day, but like on Sundays and Saturdays and Sundays, when football was on, you couldn't talk to them. They didn't want to do shit. They just wanted to stay in there and watch football.
Yeah.
all day. So,
On the weekends,
it's like,
I
whatever.
don't care if he's wreck or whatever. I'm staying in there. As a matter of fact, the Vikings-Niners game, where Favre threw the last-second touchdown to the back. Remember the very back of the end zone?
Yes.
That's crazy, Kev.
That drive is starting right as wreck is being called.
Right.
And it looks like there's no way the Vikings can win this game.
Right.
But it's like a fucking beautiful. It's like 75 and sunny out, like a fall day that you just can't miss. And I'm locked up. And I'm thinking, God, what am I going to do? I stayed inside, and I saw that happen.
Yeah.
I was also locked up for the New Orleans playoff game that you were talking about.
Game, yeah, I remember that.
I was locked up for that one too. But without the work, it would have taken forever. I was always grateful for Simo, and I hope you pass that along if he doesn't hear the show.
will, definitely.
Every time I went there, 3 times, the hat trick. Well, number one, I was always ashamed to see you because you would always just shake your head like, "What are you doing back here?" I was always like ducking Horton for like a day or two. But then Simo would always see my name on the roster and throw me on the floor crew, and that was always cool.
Yeah,
What's the best job?
Well, it's
You wanna
either
be
that or the golf
cooking,
course.
or-
People like golf
There
course.
is- Well, yeah, you
Golf
have to go.
course?
Well, there's level 1, so they can go outside.
Sure.
So they'll do the nursery, the golf course, engineering, stuff like that. So they get to pretty much do all the hands-on stuff. They can go outside pretty freely, and walk around and stuff like that. So that the golf courses, I don't know exactly what they do at the golf course. They pick up the balls and
they mow.
I was gonna say probably the maintenance crew,
landscaping, and all that kind of stuff. So
I've done that.
The coolest thing about floor crew when I got there was we ran canteen, but that got taken away from us. They gave that to the women.
Yeah, the women still got it. So.
Those bitches. But I mean, being in canteen was pretty cool. Although you had to have enough seniority to work your way up to get down there, because you fill the orders, but you could just chow down while you're down there.
Nice.
And I've talked about this yesterday. The worst thing about being locked up is the food. I mean, you go 3 months without a good meal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's bad school lunch for 3 months, and you eat like one hot meal a day and then a bologna sandwich. It's like, wow, what is this?
Well, now it's 2 hot meals a day and a bologna sandwich.
What about the weekends?
Still 2 hot meals and a bologna.
Oh, really? So they upgraded?
Yeah,
After I got those motherfuckers?
Yeah, because I used to get 1 big meal for breakfast and then dinner. That's it.
Yeah, no, the dinner wasn't the dinner just a bologna sandwich?
A bag of lunch.
Yeah, it was brutal. So you got a meal and a half on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, when you're working, are you eating the same shit?
No, we bring lunch.
I would hope not.
We bring food.
Okay.
Or we have cereal.
I had to clean up. I was always in that dining room clean up. I wanted to just jump on that salad bar once in a while.
I mean,
that's how desperate I was. Salad? Are you fucking kidding me? No, but they were eating all right. I mean, they should. I mean, they're not criminals. They're not
but in off air, you were kind of saying. I mean, you're in there a lot of time.
You're in there a lot of time.
You kind of do your own time in a way. It's weird.
You get the menu in advance, and you see what you would eat and what you wouldn't eat. And the days you wouldn't eat, you just bring a lunch.
You know what scared the shit out of me? I mean, but the day I told you about the day of my sentence, and I was taking this place I didn't even know existed, and I didn't know how long I was going to be there, and I'm at check-in, and one of the first fucking things I saw, and I'm not kidding about this, is above the, that little area where you check in and they take your picture and everything.
Yeah, the admissions.
They got fucking condoms. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I think they give those to people as they leave.
Oh god. Wow.
Because they know they're leaving.
Jesus
they know
Christ.
they're leaving to get something.
But
I mean, coming in. Coming in, I see that. I'm like, what the fuck is that for?
Everybody sees those and freaks out.
Well, good, yeah.
What kind of shit is this? I'm like, hey, it's when you leave, man.
It's for leaving.
You get that with a bus token when you leave. You get condoms in a bus token when you leave.
That's a bad thing to show people when they're coming in.
That is the worst.
But it's a real thing, though. It's real.
Well,
not
in there, it's not. Nobody's doing that in there.
It used to 1,300. They was all out at one time. You're talking 160 guys at one time, and there's 2 officers in there. You can't see everything.
Oh, come on. There's none of that shit in there.
It used to happen. I swear to God, it used to happen.
That's hard to believe. When people are doing a stretch of 60. I mean,
right. 6 years.
No, 60 days.
No, but 60 days.
We've had inmates that kind of go, I mean, they were
already
swinging both ways, so they braid the guy's hair for canteen.
Well, I remember
sexual favors.
I remember
like
two African American guys that were extraordinarily effeminate. They looked like brothers almost. They were like almost twins. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do know exactly who you're talking about.
I mean, they're pretty much women. I mean, they're for all intents and purposes.
And one of them choked the guy unconscious.
Jesus.
He wouldn't pay him. So
oh, Jesus. I had no idea all this shit was going on. I'm glad I didn't know. I would have been
chokehold him, freaking, you know what I'm saying? No hold bar, cross-face chicken wing until he passed out in the bathroom.
Jesus.
Oh, God.
I knew that guy was trouble. I saw his legs. I was like, Jesus Christ, he got a lot of power. I know he's gay, but he could probably fuck somebody up.
I mean, I want to be delicate about this, but I mean, I talk about this out there all the time, and I don't want to be misunderstood on this. But one thing about when I was in there, the people I like, the guys I hung out with, my friends, we're all black. Because you know who's fucked up in jail? White people. I mean, white people are. I mean, if you're in jail and you're white, you probably did something wrong. I mean, it is what it is.
I bet that reverses if you get out to like a weird county up in northern Minnesota.
I don't know.
Obviously, they're all white there. But then you get one black guy in there.
A lot of the white guys that are locked up, they're
like these skinheads from Rice Street.
Right. It's like they just do a little bit worse.
Yeah.
They do a little bit, a little bit worse. Little things that you be like, bestiality. So you like to fuck animals, huh? Stuff like that.
But my boys like Good and Ford and Buster. I mean, they could be in there because they're on probation. They smoke weed. I mean, that's fucked up.
Well, Good and Ford and Buster, especially Good and Buster.
Dudes. Fucking good dudes.
You know, guys, I missed the probation meeting because I was high. I mean, I like to smoke weed. I mean, shit's about to become legal. So I mean, it's pretty much you're getting arrested for some shit that in the future
that's legal in 6 states
you know
already.
What I'm saying? So just stuff like that. But they're decent kids. They're decent guys.
A couple of guys came through the floor crew, and the floor crew kind of policed itself because we had privileges and we didn't want that to get messed up.
Right.
So if people came in and didn't fit in or they snored or whatever, we'd talk to Simo and move them along, and they always thought like that was me, like I was some sort of snitch. So I'm walking down the hall, and people started calling me the police. I was the police. Look out for this guy. He's the police. I'm the police. I'm like, if I'm the police, how am I doing 8 months on a 5th degree with no priors?
That's a bad nickname to have in there,
I got your police. Right.
But people respected Jeff. I mean, they respected him. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because of the stature he held, but he didn't cause no problem. But he didn't back down either. So it's pretty. You know what I'm saying? Then the guys he ran with too. So
Buster's a big guy. Buster's
a big guy, and he got that raspy voice. Like,
yeah.
Don't mess with.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
It's kind of intimidating.
Here's when I knew Buster and I were going to be friends right away. It's my third and final time in, and I'm sitting there, and somebody grabs the paper, and it's me, in the newspaper, and they're looking down at the paper, and they're looking over at me, they're back and forth, like trying to figure out, is this that fucking guy? I mean, and then George is somebody. I mean, he's a Minnesota Viking. I mean, he's in the NFL. He's a guy who's been in the papers. He knows what it's like, and he knows it's a little uncomfortable. He walks up to this guy and just rips it from his hand, walks over, he crumples it in a ball, walks over to the garbage can, looks at me and goes, nobody needs to be seeing this shit. I go, that's my guy.
That's awesome.
That's
having your back.
That's my introduction
Right.
to Buster Rhymes. So to this day, I got nothing but respect for.
Yeah, he'll walk up to you and talk to you, and you
Good
know
dude.
what I mean? And me being a football buff, fanatic, you can just sit and talk to these guys and his experiences. He's a Miami guy, born and bred, and he went to Oklahoma. What did he play? Running back or receiver?
No, a receiver at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was when Oklahoma was gangster. I mean,
Right.
that's the height of the Barry Switzer era. That's Charles Johnson, the quarterback, selling coke and guns out of a dorm room.
That's before.
Jesus.
That's before.
Boz.
That's before the U.
Yeah,
came and
they
took
were
that
just
from-
starting. They were just.
Yeah,
I mean, George, and his name is George. His name is George Buster Rhymes, and he's still a little bitter about the rapper ripping him off.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so I remember the first time Simo mentioned it to me, he said George. I'm like, who the fuck's George? He said Buster. But he told me, he was the shit in Miami. He was the guy. I mean,
Right.
he ran like 4.2, 4.3
Really?
in the 80s, and that's crazy in the 80s.
Right.
And the Canes wanted him, but that was like Arnsparger.
Hey, make it around.
Back, yeah. And but you got to get some food, dude. Have you looked at this menu yet?
Yes.
It is lights out.
We'll get some.
But anyway, so Miami wanted him, but Miami was the mid '80s. They were just coming. That's Jim Kelly. They were just starting. That was before Kozar.
Was it Snellenberger was there?
Schnellenberger. That's the word I was looking for. Not
Howard
Arnsparger. Schnellenberger. Yeah. So Schnellenberger was the coach, and George said his dad said to him. He said, it's 1984, 1985, whatever. If you're anyone in college football, you go to Oklahoma. So the guy came down, the recruiting coordinator, and there were two questions asked: what kind of car do you like, and what's the dollar figure? And the next day, the car's in the driveway with a duffel bag for cash in the back seat. I mean, straight up.
Is
money.
that a pre-internet thing that made that so much easier too?
Probably.
I mean, I swear now there's so much
Probably.
more exposure of everyone.
It happens everywhere. Not everywhere gets caught, but it happens everywhere.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that
George-
easy and that obvious
Well,
anymore.
look at Cam Newton. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Oh, yeah,
went
that
to
was
Florida, stole some laptops,
huge
went to
cheat.
junior college. Auburn says, name your price.
Yeah.
Well, in
that
Reggie
national
Russell before
championship's
that,
that national championship's a joke.
It's a
It's
tarnish
joke.
because him,
His
Farley,
dad,
all
his dad
those
was
guys.
pimping him
all
out.
got
His dad
paid.
was pimping him out. His dad tried to sell him to Mississippi State.
Exactly. So,
I mean,
with Malzahn or whatever his name is.
yeah, it was not that good. It was
So,
very, very
It happens. It happens.
And-
It's been happening.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I mean, George, what the other story he told me that was great, but not great, fucked up. But I mean, you can look back and laugh now. When he was in college, he had an M16 that hit up underneath his couch.
It's a great story. That's great. Be in college with a assault.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to hear a guy say that. I mean, it's a bad story, but it's
it's
like
a horrible
an
story,
interesting
but it's
story.
a great story.
Well, yeah.
At the same time.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it's a heartwarmer. It's
No. It's not
This
for
isn't a
Christmas.
Hallmark after
But
school special.
It's not a Christmas story, but it is a great story.
All right, let's take a quick break. Back after this. Folks who've listened to the show, they know that I lived in the Uptown area here, right down Pleasant Avenue, as a matter of fact, and on the corner of Pleasant Lake is where Uptown Pond is. And I have been here numerous times, had numerous business dealings with them. It's just a nice place with good, honest people. Bob Jacobson, the owner, you run the place. You've always been good to me.
Thanks, Jeff. We try. That's part of our business. We're here to help people, and so everybody walks in the door. We hope we can help.
Well, what I've always appreciated is when people are nice to people who are the low man on the totem pole. Like when I was a bat boy, I liked the star guys who were nice to the bat boy.
Right.
And I mean, I came in here and you guys didn't know who I was. You didn't know I had a radio show, and you
Right.
treated me great. I mean,
Right.
just a guy off the street.
Listen, that's the idea with I think a smaller family type business. Somebody walks in the door. We don't want to let them see everybody gets treated the same way, and we hope that's the case. And
Yeah.
we don't want to see them leave without. We try our very best.
It's really easy. It's easy. It's low pressure. Good, honest people. Right on the corner of Lake Street and Pleasant Avenue. You guys got to check out Uptown Pond.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. Hi, this is Judge Dean from Iceni County. We've started a safe cab program up here. A holiday message for you is give yourself a gift. Don't drink and drive. Call a cab. Call a friend. But don't drink and drive.
All right, we're back. I love the Dylan bumpers. Nice work by the government. We're producing it up. We're going to try to do. We're going to get a button bar.
The new year is
Yes.
going to be a whole.
I've got some time on my hands. I mean, I work like 3 hours a week. I'm going to sit down on my computer. There's a program we're going to put together, a button bar, drops, like back in the days of the fan. I wish Puppy could be here, stuff like that.
We both need our radio stuff back.
Yeah, seriously.
We do. We will, and we will have it.
Whatever intellectual property. I mean, sons of bitches.
You should definitely have at least half of those buttons, as your own, and you earn it. But they kind of paid for the whole deal.
Well, I mean, I still shout out Puffy from time to time when the moment's right. But.
Hey, coming out of I think actually any drop in the world, if you say it, it's yours. Like you can do that.
I would imagine you own your own
you
voice.
can take that. Yeah.
I think so. That's what Schweitz wants that for Wild Wednesday. He's been talking about that. But
we should have that.
Lance Horton is the guest. He's a CEO at Ramsey County Workhouse. So you must be moving up the chain. You must be a big shot there by now.
Absolutely not, man. That place is like a glass ceiling type thing at the top. We really can't. I'm a field training officer now, so I train the newbies.
Yeah, do you go upstairs and beat the shit out of him with the Mortal Kombat stuff, or is that still Simo? Because Simo can beat the hell out of people.
That's Simo, but Simo,
but he's military.
You can I like taking our aggressors out on Simo when he puts his red man suit on, so you can pretty much just bounce him off the wall.
Oh, that's a padded thing?
Yeah, we can pretty much beat him up. But
I mean, you're quite a bit bigger than him. I mean,
absolutely.
What is he, 5'10", 180?
No, he's about 5'8". 70.
Well, I was close.
Like
it's been a while.
No, he's good, man.
But he's there. He's Air Force. I mean, he's military. He's got a background.
Although
Air Force guys can't fuck with anybody.
Oh, he said it. I didn't. Simo, if you listen to this, dude, I had nothing to say about none of this.
I mean, Tony Dean's a Marine.
My dad was Air Force, and that's proof that you can fuck with Air Force.
I had nothing to say about that.
We got chicken balls coming for our boy Hort because he says he likes wings.
I do like wings. I love wings. Who doesn't like wings?
Chicken balls. We talk about this on the show.
I never had chicken balls.
Well, you're gonna love them. What they take?
Nobody's had chicken balls.
No, they invented it. They take ground chicken and they roll it into a meatball. They don't bread it. They fry it. And they roll it around, and it gets crispy on the outside without breading. Mm-hmm. Then they soak it in buffalo sauce and serve it. It's just chicken meatballs.
Okay. So I've never had them.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's really good. I mean, they're fantastic. And then I don't know what's something good to you on the menu. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff.
Well, I might have the shrimp po' boy sounds pretty good.
Yeah, see, I'm from Minnesota.
You don't get too much Cajun food up here in Minnesota.
No, that's why I call it a poor boy. I can't say po' boy. I can't say po' boy. I can't say it with a straight face.
Notice how it rolls right off his tongue.
Well, yeah.
I've done my stint in the South, so a lot of people do say I'm from Los Angeles. But a lot of people do say I sound country.
Well,
I don't know if I should take offense to that or just.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
If you heard those people talk, you really can't. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Well, Randy Moss sounds Southern. I mean, he's from the backwoods of West Virginia. Yeah.
Randy Moss.
All the same.
Randy Moss. I'm a back in there.
But if I roll into the Popeyes on Lake Street and ask for a poor boy, they're gonna kick me out.
Oh yeah, you're
close the window.
It's over. I mean, they're not going to serve me.
It's got a po' boy.
That's like walking into a head shop and asking for a bong. They'll show you the door. They show you the door. It is. You got to order the right way. You got to ask for the right thing. Now you were a college football player. I mean, you got some serious background. Is it Troy or Troy State? I know it's the same place, but they keep dropping it.
Troy now. They dropped the state.
It's like Kent and Kent State. They keep changing their mind.
Troy University. Troy,
which is in
Alabama.
Alabama. Okay. And you were a defensive lineman.
Defensive tackle, nose guard, one technique, all the same thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's D1, isn't it? I mean.
It's D1, small D1. But
yeah,
D1.
but still, yeah. I mean, that's what they now, or what eventually became the football bowl subdivision, FBS.
Well, yeah, they started off as D2.
But they moved.
They just worked their way up. It's still a small school, still a small program, but they played some pretty good competition.
Could you ball? Could you ball?
I did my thing, man. I held my own. I didn't get pushed down the field like I see some guys in the NFL doing. It's crazy to me how you got guys in the league that can't do day one stuff. But that's another topic.
Okay, now you mentioned off the air you had a little look from the Chiefs after college.
I went to the Chiefs training camp twice. Second time I made it further than I did the first time. It's a business, you know what I'm saying? If they don't know nothing about you, if they don't know enough about you, it's a game of numbers and they won't keep you around.
Yeah.
You know, and it's business. And once you get that aspect of it, once you get that in your head that you're just a number,
mm-hmm.
and we can care if you stay or not, then it's nothing.
Have you watched Hard Knocks on HBO?
I have watched
Is
Hard
that
Knocks.
realistic?
The year that I got cut from them jackasses, they were on Hard Knocks, and then they drafted two defensive tackles, Turk Tyler, and Tank. I don't know his last name. One from North Carolina State and one from Tennessee. And both of those guys didn't make it.
You made a
past
mistake.
4
Those
years.
are chicken wings.
Oh, it's even better.
I asked, well, can we get? I wanted chicken balls for him, but those look good though.
No,
those look
I
really
think
good.
those will work just
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, those look really good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
actually. You might have been a fortunate mistake because you're
Yeah,
a chicken wing
those
guy.
look awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
those are good.
So-
you can eat and drink during the show. You don't have to wait.
So that happened, and I
Good.
just took it in stride and kept moving along. and
Yeah, well, you know what?
Other opportunities came about.
I have more of a background in baseball than football because I was lucky enough to work in a Twins clubhouse for 6 years. So I mean, I've seen how the comings and goings and and how contracts work and the ins and outs of being how you make a squad. I couldn't believe how casual it is in football. I mean, there's no permanent work in the NFL.
No, not at all.
There's no guaranteed contract.
Not at all.
Here's what this shocked me when I found this out. But we got back in the PA Dubay show. We got pretty tight with Jack Brewer for a while. Remember Jack?
Okay.
Good guy. He went on the DL, or not the DL, the IR, which is weird. I mean, baseball, it's a DL. You go on the DL, you get healthy, you come off. But in the NFL, it's IR, and you go on it, you're done.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
it's
done.
it, season.
That's it.
And there's not, forget about sports for a minute. There's not a job in America where you can get hurt on the job and take a pay cut.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that to people.
Right.
In the NFL,
No, you could sue if they did.
I mean, but at the time, I want to say that the league minimum was in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and Jack was making that. He's a special teamer, just a fringe player. Goes on the IR week 2, has his salary immediately goes to $150,000. I'm like, how can you get injured on the job to the point where you can't work and get your salary cut in half?
I think the
That's
union. I
unbelievable.
think the player union can match that now.
Well, they fixed it a little bit, but their union's the weakest of the 4 sports.
Well,
I mean, they get the
absolutely.
worst fucking deals
Well,
every
because
time.
the contract, like you said, the contracts aren't guaranteed,
No.
and it's a much more physical aspect. Here's the thing: since I've been in the Twin Cities, I'm starting to kind of pick up on hockey a little bit,
Sure.
and I'm starting to realize hockey is, it's brutal. I think it's more brutal than football.
Well, the concussion thing is becoming
Well,
a big
you
Yeah,
get
deal.
but the helmets are lightweight.
You get
hit
hit
high speed.
You get hit with somebody skating, opposed to somebody running at you.
Yeah.
They're going
That's-
10 miles an hour
right.
faster,
That's a pretty big deal.
And you hold a hockey helmet and you hold a football helmet.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
and your head never gets mashed into glass in
Right.
football either.
or hit ice.
Or
Yeah.
the dasher or
Yeah,
any of that.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think football is, it's still got a long way to go.
But football, I mean, if
From
you're
a business aspect
if you're a
of it.
lineman or a running back, you're absorbing collisions on a play-by-play basis.
Every play.
Hockey, you might get hit a couple times a game, like
Especially
hard.
linemen.
A couple
It's
times
a
game.
car collision every play.
Yeah, yep.
So
Yeah,
it's-
I don't know how linemen live. I don't know how they survive. I mean, I've stood on the sideline for NFL games, and it's when you stand there, you hurt.
What are your hands like? Do you have messed up hands?
Well, they're rough, but they're not like
But
them
not your
big-
fingers weren't broken
No,
or any of that
well,
kind of stuff?
I've broken my pinky and I've torn a bicep. I broke my ankle, broken a wrist.
Okay. I
Stuff
feel like the
that.
linemen's
All on the
hands
field.
are the most disgusting part.
That's why you got to keep
constantly
as a defensive line.
fighting.
You got to keep them moving.
Yeah.
Because if you just leave your hands sedentary, like just stationary, that's when they get chopped or punched or
Sure.
it's stuff like that. When they're just sitting there and you're just holding somebody like that, and you got somebody that's trying to chop your hands down, you can break your your arm. I'm not gonna say the actual bone, but you can break your arm.
forearm,
You can
yeah.
break your phalanges, your fingers, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I've always made fun of? I've always made fun of the fact that Sharif Floyd, who I think is a hell of a player, I think he's got a good future, big future, as a first-round pick out of Florida. The knock against him was that his arms were too short. It's like, who gives a fuck? Is that really? I mean, when you're playing defensive line and you're trying to keep an offensive lineman's hands off you, and it's all the people understand there's a lot of handwork. I mean, they just think you're trying to be either fast enough to get around the end or shoot a gap or just slick. They don't realize there's handwork.
They need to do away with the combine. Combine ain't nothing
I
but
know.
it's
Yes.
a trading block. You just measuring guys. I'll give you
It's
Tom
ridiculous.
Brady is
Troy
the perfect
Williamson.
example. Exactly. Tom Brady is a perfect example. He said he's too ugly or he's
Teddy Bridgewater.
He's too slinky. He has no muscle definition. He went almost Mr. Irrelevant in the 7th round. This dude's probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. They
yeah.
just need to do away with the combine. Because
But Teddy went from
ridiculous.
first pick of the draft.
because they
and
said he
fell
had
because of
small
that.
hands and all of this, or he had a horrible pro day. Who the
Yeah.
fuck cares?
He had a bad
Look
pro
at
day.
his
Pro day's
production. It's all about production, not what somebody does at a combine in
Thank
2
you.
days. Football isn't played in shorts and t-shirts. It's played in
Measurables are a
pads.
joke.
Absolutely.
Fuck measurables. I don't care what your shuttle relay time is.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. How the wings, by the way.
Great.
Dry rub with a little sauce there.
Right.
Troy Williamson. The Vikings were looking to replace Randy Moss. They got the draft pick from the Raiders, and they were looking for some downfield speed. And they identified Troy Williams because he's 4.2 in the combine. So I look at his, I immediately started looking into him. In South Carolina, and he was a mediocre college football player. And they want to take him in the top 10 because he ran really fast in Indianapolis. It's like he's a mediocre football player. He over 2 years.
That might be giving him credit.
Over 2 years, he had like 40, 50 catches for 800 yards. I mean, it's like yippee.
He was fast. That was it.
Yeah. I mean, and he was an embarrassment.
When we watched him miss passes literally off the
he
top.
got hit in the head numerous times.
He blamed it on his eyes, didn't he? Had bad eyes.
He went to like a specialist.
He went to a Nike clinic or something. Said he had bad eyes.
That's embarrassing.
That had to be it. It wasn't his hand.
Look at Darius Hayward-Bay. Darius Hayward-Bay for the Raiders was the same way. He ran, everybody know Al Davis loves speed. He ran like a 4.2. Kid was horrible. Hines Ward got 12 receivers got drafted before Hines Ward. This dude is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yep. Well, he was a quarterback at Georgia.
Yeah, he was a quarterback, but he was a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and he played defensive back too.
He's kind of Ryan Tannehill before he was Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill was good at receiver though. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was. But he's a quarterback first, and then a receiver, then a quarterback again. I mean,
so they should just do away with the combine. And I mean, no other sport goes through that crap. Nobody does that.
Well, I remember this. I remember because again, I was working in sports radio, so I had to pay attention to like the minutia. But I remember the big outrage that there's an NBA combine or a pro day kind of a thing where Kevin Durant couldn't bench press anything. And they're like, going into the draft, like, boy, Kevin Durant has no upper body strength. He can't print. I'm like, who the fuck cares? He's a perimeter player. He's a face the basket. He's a wing guy. Who cares if he can't lift his half his weight above his head? I don't care. It was ridiculous. How heavy is a bat? Is he shooting a medicine ball? Give me a fucking break. It was just so absurd. I mean, like, people were all concerned about it.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke. I know more guys on this couch back home that could be in the NFL. I mean, some of the stuff you see on Sunday is just absurd. It's day one stuff. It's frustrating and it's disgusting and it's ugly, and they just need to change it. You know what I'm saying? They just need to change everything about it. Are
you saying that the players that there's a lot of players that should be there that aren't?
There's a lot of players in the NFL that are there because they know somebody.
Okay.
They know a coach that knows a coordinator. They know a coach that knows a freaking scout or that knows a recruit. Something like that. There's no reason for NFL teams to bring in guys that play basketball. Or a guy they found off the street, you know what I'm saying, that could just run fast. He went to a regional combine and had a great 40. There's no reason for him to be in camp, but you bypass on a guy that has a production record in college or in arena or in Canada. You bring and you leave them and you pick this dude because he ran good at a fucking combine.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no explanation for that. And then you wonder why the quality of the game is. Why do you think there's freaking penalties on every play now? You know what I'm saying?
Well, because there's too many rules too.
There's too many rules too, exactly.
The referees get too much airtime.
Goodell wants arena league points.
Yeah.
He wants offensive production.
Yep.
You can't. How many defensive holdings did you hear this week?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's every play.
It's crazy.
And they could call one on every play even when they don't.
Right, because I mean that's just what they want. They want offensive production. They don't want defense in the NFL.
Yeah, if you're growing up, you want to be a defensive back. You got to get the sense slapped out.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah, it's the worst job in the world.
Yeah. You got to play rabbit now with your hands behind your back. If you touch him, it's a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, the guy you're covering is 6'5" and he runs a 4.3.
Yeah, I think the best team to do that right now is the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they do it.
You know who's getting good at it? Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes
can
ball.
He's always fucking hurt, but he is getting good.
He does get hurt.
Every play he's on his knees, like cowering over.
Yeah.
Just get your ass up and get back to the huddle.
I mean, he does play a physical brand. And you know what's so funny is, he was drafted into a cover two, and cover two is so passive. And you give a cushion, you don't get up on the line, you get a guy off his timing. It's just a passive defense that wasn't right for him. I was so glad to see Zimmer come in and say, hey, get up in somebody's face, because he's got to play like that to be good. He's got to play like that.
Well, and who was the guy that played this week for the first time and got hurt? Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
For us?
Zendejo?
Yeah, for us. No.
Zendejo. He's been there.
It was somebody that I hadn't heard of, but I heard in the press conference Zimmer was asked about him, and he said, well, doesn't last very long.
Huh.
Like, he just totally, the guy played 6 plays and got hurt, and he just totally bashed him. Like, well, doesn't have much stamina. I don't remember who it was. But I just thought that his way of looking at it was like, geez.
But Zimmer, he don't pull no punches, man. He speaks his
mind.
mind.
I like that.
And that's what you got to do, though, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is me, and this is what I'm talking about. And, he's finding guys now. And I guess from the Leslie Frazier era, guys coming late to meetings, he was
too player friendly.
Well, he was such a nice guy.
He was a puppet, though. He was a Spielman puppet.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that. He was a puppet. He did what he can do. He did what they allowed him to do. Zimmerman, on the other hand, is like, this is what it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. And if you don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go back to fucking Cincinnati and coach that great defense. You know? So.
Well, yeah. What's ironic to me, I mean, I think. I mean, when you look at the season, this team really easily could have been an 8-8 team. Not that that's not like that's the goal. But when you lose Peterson, when your offensive line falls apart to the level that it has, and you lose your starting quarterback, you got to get a rookie in there sooner than you wanted to. I mean, but there were some things going against the first year coach and his staff. I thought that Norv Turner coached the hell out of these guys, coached the hell out of Bridgewater. I think Zimmer, I just think the coaching staff, as much of a bigot as he might be, Prefer. I mean, look at some of the shit the special teams has pulled off this year. I mean, I know that you can't blame him for a bad snap, but how about the pooch kick to get the ball back the series before? I mean, they've had their moments.
Did they block 2 punts?
Yeah, they had two blocks in one game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this team has had the hell coached out of it. It's a shame that they have found, again, for the second year in a row, under different staffs, weird ways to lose late. I mean,
I do like that Zimmer called out the defense this week, too. I mean, he's the defensive specialist. Right. That's kind of his forte. And he comes out and goes, these guys didn't play.
A minute 47 left in the game, they go down and, they drive down for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Pretty big. And as a defensive player or as a defensive coach, you take pride in that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's something that just should absolutely not happen.
Right. Bend, don't break.
Of course, their best player is out. Arguably their best player, Barr. Not Michael, Barr. I mean, Barr's a beast.
Barr is a beast.
And you're an LA guy, so you know all about it.
And I hope he continues to ascend.
He's so fast.
Does he have any injury history?
Not that I know of.
The only knock on him coming out was he was light.
Yeah, he's small and fast. Well,
because he was outside.
Pretty strong though.
He was a defense, but he was a running back.
Yeah, he's an offensive player.
He was a running back at UCLA. Couldn't break the depth chart. They moved him to DN, and he was a jet off the end.
Yeah.
The worst possible scenario for the Vikings this year was Teddy Bridgewater coming in, which actually turned out to be the best thing for them. But nobody wanted to see him play this early.
Nope.
And because it didn't work out with Ponder, getting tossed in the fire that early. Ponder just never freaking progressed.
Yeah, Ponder was a deer in the headlights.
But Bridgewater is progressing.
He is progressing.
He gets
absolutely.
it.
He gets it.
And I say this all the time about him. If people get the chance to see the Gruden quarterback camp, the bits he did on SportsCenter leading into the draft, he sits down with every quarterback. They go over film. He talks about what's good and what's bad. The Teddy Bridgewater Gruden quarterback camp is eye-opening. I mean, Bridgewater gets it. I mean, he is a smart guy. I mean, he really understands reads and progressions. I mean, you see he's got poise in the pocket. I mean, he doesn't panic in the face of extreme pressure. He does not ever panic. And sometimes he holds it a little too long. He's definitely waiting for things to develop, and he's going through reads. But Gruden put something on the grease board and handed him the marker and said, okay, so you give me your reads. What do you look for? And what makes you go from this guy to that guy to this guy? And he went through and just my head was spinning by the time Teddy was done talking about it. I mean, he's on top of it.
He gets it. He's probably the most NFL ready. Well, him and Derek Carr. He was probably the 2 most NFL ready quarterbacks.
Poor Carr.
Anybody that gets tossed to the Raiders now. Anybody that gets tossed to the Raiders is just. You're doomed.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that. They got so much, whatever the hell they got, talent or whatever. They're just doomed. I hope they climb out of it. He's an LA kid too, or a California kid too. So I hope he climbs out of it, man. He should be good. Teddy Bridgewater, not a Viking fan by any stretch, but I'm always rooting for that kid.
The throws he made in the Sugar Bowl against Florida, a couple of years ago, he was just dropping it on a dime. Yeah. I mean, he really, really looked good in that game.
He don't make too many bad decisions. He'll run and tuck it before he makes a bad throw or throw into traffic. The only knock on him was he hangs the ball.
Yeah, he lofts it a little, like a dart kind of.
He hangs it, and that's. So he's one of the best quarterback coaches of all time. Norv Turner would correct that.
Well, and he's been doing it accurately, though. Now when he does it right before the guy gets open and hits him when he's open.
I don't know if it was this game or the last game, but he had a few wide open guys, and he kind of lofted it out there and just over their head.
Earlier in the season, it was thrown at their feet.
Like two beauties this week, Chase Ford and Greg Jennings. He just dropped in, nice soft touch passes.
Touchdown pass at the end of the game to Greg Jennings.
You got to get
when he lofted over the 2 guys. That was beautiful.
You got a ball hawking safety. You got to be a little more careful about that stuff. Hey, let's take our final break and come back and wrap it up with my boy Lance Horton, CEO, Ramsey County RCCF. Is that what it is? RCCF. Yep. Oh, yeah, RCCF. It's bad memory. Okay, last year, 2013, I lived just down the road, Pleasant Avenue, just a few blocks here from Uptown Pond, which is right on the corner of Lake and Pleasant. And, there are a couple of times, you just
try to get to that next payday, maybe a couple of bucks short. If you've got some items, jewelry, diamonds, electronics, I mean, you come down here and they give you a fair price for it, and then you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, you get it back at a real reasonable price.
So we're very competitive, we hope, on different angles, in different ends and different articles. Computers, electronics, TVs, jewelry. We buy, we give loans, and we also have emphasis on diamond jewelry too, that we also try and give credit for the best we can. We're specialists in that area also, so it's an all-round sort of combination.
Well, it's a great place. It's a nice, clean place with honest people, and I tell you what, it's got a real family feel to it. As a matter of fact, it's tied into Strauss family, and I go way back with the late, great Jerry. So, I mean, these are people I know and people I trust. You can find them on Twitter, too, by the way. They're at Uptown Pawn, and also on Facebook, Uptown Pawn, and uptownpawn.net.
Website. Hi, I'm Terry Daniel, and I've been a voice actor in Minneapolis for over 2 decades now. How often are you getting compliments on your voice? Now is the time to do something about it. If you're interested in getting into voiceovers, please contact me via my website at universalvoicetalent.com.
We got about 10 minutes left. Tuesday, 23rd. At least for me it is. Again, you feel free to listen whatever day you want to. I don't care if it's 2017. You can still dial this up because it's on the internet. It never goes away. It's there forever. I mean, you know, like those shows they used to do on the History Channel, like The World After People. They show like buildings decaying and stuff, and animals, you know, and wildlife taking over cityscapes. The podcast will still be there. There's no excuse for not listening to it. I mean, they're on the internet. It never goes away, right? I mean, the internet still confuses me. I mean, where are these things? They're not just floating around in the sky.
Everything is lost on the web. The web is just an open space of just.
It's mind blowing. I need Carl Sagan to explain it to me. I think I don't get. They're just.
Well, you see, in Silicon Valley, there's a ton of servers, and that's where all this shit is kept.
Oh, that's
See?
it?
Done.
Is that where the porn comes from, too, though? Silicon Valley? Seriously.
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, well, that's the
where,
thing.
San Fernando
Valley is where the porn comes from.
Okay.
Silicon Valley is where all the documentaries
is where they get it on the computer for you.
Right.
You ever make an adult movie, Horton? You ever made one?
I have amateur adult movies, yes.
Very amateur. Very amateur.
Very Samsung S5 type amateur.
Oh, Jesus.
That picture quality is
it's amazing.
Okay, well,
can't beat the pixels.
Oh God! The common thread, you know, that we always had in the workhouse was we always talk shit about USC. I mean, you are a shit talking USC fan.
I am a shit talking, world blowing USC guy.
You don't like Lane Kiffin.
I did not say I don't like Lane Kiffin. I just think he's a better. I think he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach.
I agree.
That's all. I mean, his track record proves that.
I thought Sarkisian was a hell of a hire, but they didn't have a good year.
7-win Sark. He only won 7 games. I think he should have just left Coach O have it.
Really? Well, he was rolling.
Coach O I
think that's dangerous, though.
For him. Why not? I mean, you can always get rid of him. Why not try him?
I mean, it's one thing to step in and catch some lightning in a bottle as an interim and have this great run, but running a program's a different story.
But when you got kids that turn it around for you and are willing to play for you, to run through a fucking wall for you, why not? You got to ride that.
Yeah.
They lost to UCLA. You know, UCLA is fucking good. They're like ranked top 10 the past 3 years, so you can't really fire a guy.
Moore's a coach.
They lost to UCLA worse this year.
I think Moore's a real deal, don't you?
Who's that?
Mora.
Oh yeah, Mora. He's gone. He's going to the NFL.
You think so?
He's going to the NFL.
Huh.
Yeah, he's going.
Why can't people just be happy in college? I mean, Saban's got the best job in the world.
He does have the best job. Granted, it's in Alabama. I wouldn't want to live in Tuscaloosa.
Well, is Harbaugh going back to college, speaking of?
He might go back to Michigan. 6 years, $48 million. That's pretty.
That would be worth it.
It is a coming together of just kind of the perfect storm. I mean, the void there. And
he said he wants to stay in the Bay Area and coach the Raiders or some shit. But I don't see why San Fran would fire him.
Who would ever say that?
Well,
San Fran wants no. They're going to trade him.
That's what I'm saying. For what? What did they have before Harbaugh? Why? You know, because the ownership and I mean, they're fucking idiots.
They are.
They're gonna go back to the way they were anyway.
They'll suck if they get rid of him.
Absolutely.
People love to hate Harbaugh. He's a great coach. I mean,
he is a great coach.
He's a great, fantastic coach. I don't care if you think he's a dick. Let him do his job.
Right. He's probably He's probably just arrogant.
Oh, he's probably an asshole.
You know,
I think
he's
hilarious,
winning.
To be
he's
honest.
winning. I'm sure Nick Saban's an arrogant asshole. But what are you going to say to him? You got a statue up over his ass now, so you really can't get away from that now.
You know what's interesting though? That it's somewhat Harbaugh related. Is because they talked about this on Sunday night with Russell Wilson, who it just continues to blow my mind with just how poised he is. He makes great decisions. He's got enough athletic ability to extend plays, but his head's always up down the field looking for something. I mean, you can't. We talk about how hard it is to be defensive back. It's hard to cover somebody on a normal timing route, but once a guy breaks out of the pocket and now you got another 3 seconds to cover, you got no chance.
Right.
I mean, you got no chance at that point. So,
That's why Rodgers is as good as he is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why those two are so incredibly dangerous. But you go back a few years, and the trend was with RG3 and Kaepernick. Where are these guys now? I mean, Wilson's the one guy.
But they can't. Those two guys.
What happened to Kaepernick?
Those guys could never throw the ball though.
But
they weren't great passers.
Kaepernick was throwing
Kaepernick
lasers.
was throwing pretty good passes.
He wasn't
lasers in the Super Bowl.
He wasn't a great quarterback though. You don't give somebody that's still progressing $100 million quarterback.
RG3 won the Heisman.
$100 million.
RG3 won the Heisman throwing it, not running it. I mean, come on.
He did win the Heisman, but so did fucking
Manziel.
No.
Texas? That's who you're thinking of?
Yeah, what's his name?
What?
The guy,
McCoy?
So did Gino Toretta. I mean, all the other guys.
Yeah, okay.
Danny
I was
Warford.
thinking of Vince Young.
But
All
my
these
point.
guys. Him too.
Yeah.
He didn't win it, but still, he was there.
he was
But,
there.
but nonetheless, I mean, RG3 was a passer. I mean, he was an athletic quarterback, but he's a passer.
Once he got hurt,
Yeah.
it took that element away. So
That
now
knee,
he has
yep.
to throw.
Yeah.
He has to throw. So that first year when he's coming off the surgery, he was mixing up running, passing. That read option was killing everybody. But it only takes, it's a copycat league. You only take 1 year to figure that.
That read option was figured out very quickly.
Well,
by everybody.
Just like that Wildcat with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They blew the shit out of New England,
Yeah.
and a week later, Baltimore hit him out of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, yeah, the Wildcat was a little more limiting.
Yeah, but-
I mean, the read option at least. I mean, in the Wildcat, you snap it to a running back, he's going to carry it.
Right.
But in the read option, at least there's the option of
there is the option, but once he got hurt, there was no more option.
Right.
He's going
Right.
to get it or he's going to lose
But
yards.
Kaepernick didn't get hurt. There's just, I swear, defensive they figured out how to stop it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't think that was going to. I didn't think there was a solution to it, to be honest with you.
No,
because-
it looked so perfect.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, in a standard offense, the quarterback takes a snap from center and he hands it off. You're playing 10 versus 11. I mean, it's simple math. But in a read option, you're playing 11 versus 11.
Yep.
I mean, and how do you? I mean, you can't solve the irrefutable laws of mathematics.
Right.
I mean, but I guess. I mean, again, I'm not a great defensive mind. I can't sit here and scheme, but
Well,
it
you
just seemed
can
to me
always
that-
assign. There's assignment football. You place one. You assign a guy to the pitch man. You assign a guy to the quarterback.
Well, you got to be disciplined. You got
You have
to
to
be
be very
athletic
disciplined.
linebackers. You
have
got to be disciplined.
You have to be very disciplined. But I think guys, they just figured it out. That's all.
Yeah.
And so he has to rely more on passing the ball.
But you think that would take guys up into the box and give you a chance to throw it. And Kaepernick, you could hang clothes on the shit he was throwing at the Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, he was.
And with the rules these days,
Yeah.
that benefits
I
that
think
too.
once you get the money though, man, it changes everything.
Well, you know what happened is he posed naked in ESPN the magazine like an idiot. He grossed the hell out of me with his tattoos, and I don't ever want to see him naked again. That's what happened.
Is that what happened?
Fuck up
That's
his
what
career.
happened.
It fucked up his career.
But
I mean, Gary Player, he's 80 years old. I
Yeah,
don't need to
what
see
the
him naked
fuck?
in ESPN the magazine.
Right.
What the fuck's wrong with you people? ESPN the magazine does not need to do a nude issue.
Well, you know what the problem is? They're a magazine in
Right.
2014, almost 2015.
Yeah.
Now. That's why they have to do that
They
shit.
gotta make it
They're not going to
black.
exist much
They can do
longer.
that. Yeah, they can do that.
I guess. So, hey, by the way, just from my own personal indulgence, I heard things have changed back at the workhouse. I don't think they've divided the dorms up into cells or something. Like everything's locked down. Ryan told me it's all locked down now.
No, 1,300 is 20. Well,
What's intake?
intake is 1,300 now.
Okay.
So you guys are on 20. What is it? 22 and 2 maybe.
That's horrible.
Until they get
That's
past.
brutal.
Until they
22 and 2 means you're in a 6x6 cell for 22 hours a day and out walking around for 2 hours. That's
get
fucked up.
until they pass TB to TB test and until they get classified.
Oh,
by the
tuberculosis? Because you
Right.
guys almost got sued. Or you did get sued.
that was before me. I have no comment. You can go
There was a
speak freely on that.
tuberculosis breakout in the workhouse
It
years
was
ago.
negligence, gross negligence on behalf of many. This guy comes in with tuberculosis. Plumlee's, hey, this fucker's sick. Y'all need to look at him. Oh, he's probably just got the flu or something. We'll look at him later. Plumlee walks him down to the office. You guys need to look at this fucker now. Eyes are yellow. He's pale. He's sweating. Turns out he has active tuberculosis. Probably one of the few cases in America at the time.
Yeah.
You know, so a ton of people get it because it is airborne.
Yep.
You know, and then
One of the
went
most
down there-
contagious.
Right.
Yeah, there's some lawsuits.
And millions of dollars the county paid in lawsuits.
I guess it makes sense to use
Gross
1,300 for
negligence.
intake, although it's very inside. I mean, that's the one area or one of the areas that you have just cells. You can keep people secluded.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it works, but people are still exposed. they're still getting exposed or coming in exposed. So it's a bad thing, man.
Well, I mean, the hospital ward has what? 1 bed, 2 beds?
It's like 6 beds in there. It's like 6.
By the way, the beds. Here's my problem with the beds. Here's my lawsuit. If I'm ever bringing a lawsuit, I'm not kidding. I mean, you sleep. You know, the beds are metal planks with like what, a 2-inch little pad, 2-inch thick pad.
I got better ones now. They're like 3 inches.
Oh, well, I tell you what.
A little firmer.
I mean,
They're up to 3 now.
I'm not kidding. I have bad hips, and it's from lying on my side on those things. And now I got hip problems because of those things.
Did you ever?
I'm not
did
kidding.
you ever consult a doctor or anything like that?
Inside on the
No,
inside.
when you got out. When you got out, I mean.
No, what are they going to tell me? You want a hip? I'm not going to get a hip replacement. I'm 46 years old. I don't think it's. I think once you get a hip replacement, you can't fuck worth a shit.
You can lay there and let her.
That was you're blaming it on?
Yeah, exactly. You can
That's a good angle. I like that.
Just sit there and let her go to work on you.
Oh, trust me. I'm in my 40s. I always say I got to be on bottom from now on. I tell everyone I meet, I'm on bottom. Unless you want somebody,
That's gotta be a
unless you
turn-on.
want somebody sweating on you for 20 minutes, I'm on the bottom or behind.
Right. That always works.
All right, well, on that note, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, yeah, Christmas Eve tomorrow. Hey, by the way, Wild Wednesday will be on tomorrow. We'll go live at 1, but of course, it's a podcast. Listen to it when you want. Thanks to Lance Horton, Jason McGovern. That's going to do it.
Thanks.